This episode is supported by Manscaped. Manscaped have kindly agreed to continue sponsoring the podcast from the 1st of February to the 28th of February. Between these dates, you can use our promo code GTM to receive 20% off all products and free worldwide shipping. If you've not heard of Manscaped before, they're now the leading company in male grooming. Their products range from face razors to nose trimmers and their famous Lawnmower 3.0, which is a product specifically designed for in and around your nether regions, so you no longer have to worry about snagging the bag. As a listener of Go in the Match, you get 20% off and free worldwide shipping with our promo code GTM. Head over to www.manscaped.com to have a look at all their range of products to grab yourself an absolute bargain. Welcome back to the Go in the Match podcast. Today I'm joined by Luke and Michael, both are match-going Everton fans and the hosts of the 10th Pint podcast. Lads, thanks for giving me time today and coming on the podcast.
Oh, no worries. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, appreciate it. You say match going, not anymore.
That's got us all stumped now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want you to take us back to your childhoods, growing up being Blues. Where he was born and how did your love for Everton begin? Luke, if we start with you first, please, mate.
Well, obviously from Liverpool and that, but my dad's actually from Cardiff. Mm-hmm. So he moved here and that, and where he was from, he sort of didn't really follow a team that much. He sort of followed Swansea, but it's not actually in Cardiff where he's from. It's like a little village called Triaris. So it's more a rugby sort of place than a football town. But obviously he met my mum and he's moved to Liverpool, and he just his mate was actually Dutch. It was this sounds proper bizarre, I did international, but his mate was actually Dutch, and yeah, his mate was Dutch. So eventually he was like, "Do you want to come to the Everton game with me?" So he ended up going to the Everton game with him. And then since that, he's just supported Everton. So all the rest of my family are Reds and that from Liverpool. Just me and my dad. But well, I don't know if it's a good option or not. But I thought we got it shown. You know what I mean?
Born not manufactured.
Yeah.
Michael, what about yourself?
So my dad's a Blue, so I got it from him. But it's quite funny with my dad. So he started going the year after Everton last won the league, so he's a bit of a jinx, really. So since he started going then, and then it's funny because I want my dad up because my dad got with my mum a few years after Everton last won the trophy. So I say to my dad, "You're gonna have to get rid of my mum." Not that I make a difference anyway, but yeah, just from my dad. So I think I've been at a season here since I was about 11, 12. I think it was when I stopped playing football myself, because you get to Sunday League, don't you? Yeah. Everyone becomes faster, and ours that slow centre half who had a bit of weight on him. So do you know what I mean? I stopped playing, so I replaced that with going the game. So I think my first season was, as a season ticket holder, was Martinez's first season. And that first season's been the best one since. Do you know what I mean? All been downhill from there, but yeah, that's how I got into it. And that.
So do you remember going to your first games and going to Goodison Park for the first time? Any memories you've got?
Do you want to go first, Luke?
That's you. Do you want to go?
Nah, you go.
My first game was Blackburn at home in the FA Cup, and we actually got to beat 4-1. I remember Morton Gams Pedersen scoring. I was only about 5 or 6, and started.
You scored for Everton, lad?
I don't know. You probably know who scored. Don't you?
I know. Andy Johnson pen knowledge.
I remember the first win as well. The first win was actually against I don't know. No, it wouldn't have been the Invincibles team. It was 3 years after that. Because it was that 03, 04.
Yeah, it would have been.
That was the Invincibles, yeah.
Well, I think I started going 05, 06. And when I was 5. But James Beattie scored. I think it was 1-11. That was my first win I ever seen, yeah.
That took you a couple of years to get a first win then?
I think the first game I went to was a League Cup one. I think that's a lot of people's first game, innit? A game in the League Cup, because you get a lower side opposition and you win. I think my first one was Luton at home. But my first proper memory was we drew 1-1 against United. I think it was 08-09. And I remember being sat I was sat lower Bullen, so that's quite close to the pitch at Goodison. And I can remember, have you ever seen that tackle where Phil Neville sticks in a properly bad challenge of Ronaldo?
Yeah, I've seen a few clips on Twitter, yeah.
Yeah, that's like my first memory. Like everyone pure, like it was a proper like nasty challenge when Ronaldo was rolling around. And I'm like, get up, he didn't touch you. But yeah, that's one of my first ones.
So who are your sort of like heroes growing up then, going down to Goodison? Who is you like most excited to see?
For me, it was probably like, I won't say he's the greatest sort of player, but Tim Cahill, like he was definitely like my favourite player. He just ran off passion really, and he was good for the goal as well. So I'd say him. Arteta was probably one for us, weren't it, Luke?
Yeah, Cahill was the one where he like, even when, like obviously in the derby, he'd score a lot, and like you can tell he cared. He loved Everton and that. He was a proper Everton player. Like got stuck in, you know what I mean? But like, that's what I'm trying to think. Arteta, yeah, but then he's left and he's gone to Arsenal, and he's sort of just like shunned Everton now. There's not like so. Andy Johnson, I don't know if this is a bit of a myth just because of a kid. I used to think he was scored all the time. But I think you told me a stat, didn't you, be from that? What was the stat that, like, how many goals he scored for us?
I think he scored, like, I think it was like 20 and 70 or something like that. It was like a 1 and 3. Like,
but I was imagining he was scoring like 30 goals a season as a kid, like.
Yeah, I love Lukaku, me, though. He's probably the best player we've seen, isn't he, Luke?
Hurts, doesn't it? Nah.
So when did you boys start going to the matches together then?
No, well, it's funny on this. So first, when I started going, I went on my own, and then started going with my dad. And then after Everton got beat at Wembley by Man United, he said, that's it, I'm not going again. He hasn't been since.
Really?
But yeah, so I started going with another one of our mates called Tom, and he missed the deadline to renew his season ticket one year by like a week. So no, I'm stuck on my own now. But it's funny, I always tell you, don't I, Luke? I sit next to some lads and I literally know everything about him. Like, I speak to him every week. I don't know everything apart from his name.
It's mad. But that sort of thing that probably does happen on a match day, though. When you go to the ground, you see the same sort of people, but you don't like have a name to a face sort of thing. It's pretty mad, really, when you think about it, isn't
it? Yeah. Luke, you don't have a season ticket, do you, no more? Because you work weekends and that, don't you?
Exposing me, yeah. I started going with my dad, as I said before, and so like we used to go to like a lot of the home games to like where it got to a point when it was about like 13, 14. I had a season ticket for 2 or 3 years, but then like obviously I used to make cricket as well, so at that point like that was getting quite like not serious, but I was playing like Saturdays and Sundays, and obviously with cricket it's all day, isn't it, most of the time. So I probably stopped going more then, and then I don't know, I'm trying to think when did we start going on the, like my dad took me to a few away games, like he took me to like the Old Traffords, like, you know, the big ones, and like obviously Wembley as well. But then like, when did we become mates, Beefham?
So me and Luke sort of became mates after school. So the first away game we went on was a pre-season game against Blackburn where we got beat 3-0, weren't it? That was the summer of 2018. So me and Luke sort of started going quite a few away games from then, weren't we? We were going quite like before lockdown, like last season. We had been like most last season. Some good memories, like, but here's what it is, isn't it?
Well, like obviously you're touching on away days and stuff there now. Is there any like particular like grounds you've enjoyed going to, or like ones that stand out?
Oh, see, like this one will sound bizarre, but I proper love Watford away.
Yeah,
so proper, like it's because there's a good away boozer there, and it's like it's that good for the away fans. But we've been twice, haven't we? So the first time we got beat 1-0.
That was the last 2 years ago today, though.
Oh, it was. And the second one we went on was last season when we won 3-2. We were 2-0 down. We scored last minute and won. So I'd say that's probably like that's probably the best one we've had, isn't it?
100%, yeah. There's a lot of bad ones though. How many? We've only seen about 2 wins. Well, you've seen 3 wins because I've also, haven't you? Because you went to Cardiff as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and Southampton you went to actually as well.
Oh yeah. It's sometimes the ones where you get beat, it's a laugh no matter what. You know what I mean? The last one we went on was our last game before this lockdown. We got beat 4-0 by Chelsea.
That's the thing, though. I think that's the sort of like common thing that all the fans I've had on the podcast have got. Like sometimes the 90 minutes just gets in the way, doesn't it? And just like going on the ale and the train to some random place, and then even if you do get beat, like the whole day out just makes it, doesn't it?
Yeah, sometimes the match gets in the way. You just want to carry on.
What other time do you get to start getting on the air with your mates at 6 o'clock in the morning? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's the best. It's the best of times. Like, but in terms of like the best grounds we've been to, I'd say Watford is good. But I thought, I don't know. I don't really like the Emirates. What did you reckon on that, Luke, when we went to the Emirates?
Are you talking how nice the ground is or how enjoyable
Yeah.
Either or, the whole experience.
Yeah, like
Arsenal away was a bit of a novelty because I think it was the first like big
first one we done weren't in the league.
It was the first one we done in the league, and so like obviously that you hear about the Emirates being this great stadium, but we got inside and it's like it looks smaller than 60,000. I don't. That sounds bizarre, but like, and then where else have you been? Where else?
Yeah, the one which I proper liked. Southampton's one's boss because you're like behind goal. I prefer being behind goal because if you score, it's better. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like other ones which I've been to, like you've been City, haven't you, Luke? Like you're up in the gods, so it's like it's not really like you're there. But there is like this season we were buzzing because like Leeds had came up, and I think that would have been a boss away. Like that would have been boss. Do you know what I mean? Like especially like I was saying this to Luke the other day. This got a bit off topic, but like we've had a really good away record this season.
Yeah.
And every time we win, 10 minutes later, you're like, it's so bittersweet because you're like, we've won, but I'm not there. I can't enjoy it. Yeah.
And to be fair, a lot of the people that come on the pod actually do mention doing Goodison is one of their favourite aways. And I think it's the sort of thing with fans now. And it's like, you touch on like Arsenal there, going to the Emirates. It does feel a bit corporate-y sometimes. And like going to the nostalgic sort of your Goodisons. People mention Fulham as well. Like a more of a hostile ground, and a better away all around, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say like I definitely prefer like the more like old-fashioned ones. You know what I mean? Like I still haven't done Aston Villa. That's probably one of the ones which you want to do the most. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we've done Palace though, and
you can't see the pitch.
It's just you may as well not be there. Like we were literally the back row. We were the back row, like touching the wall at the back. And you're ducking to see the ball goes in the air. You can't see anything. It's just like
I enjoy. That's another one which I enjoy though because there's a good away boozer there. Like the best example I can give, Brighton's ground. It's like on the side of a motorway in the middle of nowhere.
There's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no pubs by it, nothing to go to beforehand.
I know. Every time I come on this pod, talk about aways, always talk about doing Burnley and the away pubs and the cricket ground, isn't it? It's just like.
Yeah.
One sport to another. It's mad.
Yeah, I have a mate who's a Liverpool fan and he couldn't get it, but he never had a ticket for Burnley last year. He said that some lads started climbing on the roof of some cricket ground by there to try and see the pitch.
Just jib it and go in.
Yeah. He said there was like loads of fans there though. You know, never had tickets, you just went down just to go to that cricket ground for a piss up.
Like talking about away games and stuff there, and obviously Everton were in Europe in Europa League and doing those sort of Euro aways not long ago. And is it obviously like you boys being from the city and you obviously see Liverpool in the Champions League and we get to go to like obviously lucky enough to go to these grounds. Are you boys sort of relishing Everton getting back into Europe and so you can do those European aways and like get some more memories and stories and stuff? Oh
yeah, definitely. Yeah. I hope we get it this season. Like obviously it's tight near the top up there. Do you know what I mean? But I'd be gutted if let's say we got it this season and next year you can't go. But it would be boss though, because like you look at like it just looks boss, you know, being in the sun. You can have your shorts on over there in the winter. You know, like
I think with that, like obviously, like I don't know, you can like being a Liverpool fan, you know, you're sort of going to be in Europe every season. But with us, it's like, say if you get PSG or Barca or Real Madrid in the group stage, you know the chances are every season Liverpool are going to play a massive team away from home. But with us, say if we got someone, even in the Europa League, say we got someone like AC Milan in Europa League, that'd be like massive. That'd be like sort of could be like a once in a generation or lifetime thing for us.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think
we probably like you say there, we probably take it for granted because, like you say, we probably expect to be in it. So you boys will probably enjoy it more.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask was a bit of a random one, to be honest. It was quite interesting getting your thoughts on this. When you see like Reds and Blues mixing in the stands in like Derby Day back in the day. Does that sort of that rivalry feel a bit more intense now? Because like you don't see that anymore. You don't see, whereas before you'd see a couple of Reds at Goodison and you'd probably see the odd Blue on the Cop and stuff. Is that sort of thing that you think it's like? Is that intensity got more rivaled in the last couple of years?
Well, speaking from like my dad's like been on field a few times, like the home end and that, like in derbies and like 80s, 90s, whereas now you couldn't do that. Do you know what I mean? So I can't really say too much because it's like our whole lifetime really. It's been bad, like, hasn't it? I think social media. I reckon social media has made it like much more intense than that because you can't get away from it. Whereas like years ago you could. Do you know what I mean?
Last time we won on Anfield in '99, before we were born. My dad was actually like in the Cop with my uncle who's a Red, and like I don't actually think the rivalries intensify whatsoever. I just think it's more, you see more of it because social media. Liverpool get beat, you probably get Everton fans out like having a go, and then vice versa if Everton get beaten. That I think that's what it is. Like a lot of the stuff that's being said on social media what you wouldn't say to a fan in person. Also, I think these fan channels, like I'm not saying they're all bad, like you get good ones, but some of them like thrive off like that Arsenal fan TV, for example.
Yeah,
I think secretly deep down they thrive off Arsenal being bad.
Oh, definitely.
I just think all that is too much. The match go with the actual match going culture of like, you go to the pub before, like you go to the match, you see your mates. It's becoming further away from that, and it's all about the social media banter and all that. It's just a bit the way it's going. It's not like it.
Yeah, it's toxic, isn't it? Like you talk on like the match day and stuff. Then obviously in COVID now, we can't go to the matches. How much are you like missing that whole match day experience, like the social element of it?
Oh, big time, definitely, big time. It's like it's just not the same, no. Like even if you win, it's like like I'm happy for like 10 or 15 minutes afterwards, and then it's forgotten about then.
It is, isn't it?
If you get a big win at home or something, you go to the pub with your mates for like a few hours after it and enjoy it. But it's just But what you were saying, Luke, about like them fan channels and that, I actually think in like German terms like Everton's fan channel, like that Toffee TV.
Yeah,
I actually think that one's like brilliant for it because they don't really do like the fan cams and that. Whereas like Arsenal fan TV, like I think they're looking for that like that thumbnail, that title. Do you know what I mean? Like the Arsenal fan TV, that's sort of like I seen someone tweet this the other day, like years ago. Like fans would go back and watch Match of the Day for someone's reaction. Do you know, to like let's say Shearer's reaction if Newcastle get beat or Martin Keogh's if Arsenal get beat. Yeah. Whereas now fans are seeing Arsenal get beat waiting for like Mr. DT's reaction or Troops' reaction. You know, swearing and all that. But
it's not what football's about, that though, is it? Like if you speak to like the older generation and you told them that's sort of what's going on a match day, there's nothing wrong with interviewing a fan, but you need to give a balance. You need to give one fan has this opinion, not everyone jumping around shouting at someone. Like it's just like it's bizarre if you think about it.
It's cringeworthy. Yeah, it's just for the views and stuff. Yeah, but that's like modern day footy, and like I've said it a million times on here. It's almost turned into like those sort of channels, like, and social media can be toxic, but it's almost a necessary evil for some people, isn't it? Like, you know, everyone's entitled to their opinion and free to express it, but like you say there, the manner and some way some people do it, it takes away from that match day culture. It's kind of gone now. It's sad, really, to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah, no laugh.
You wouldn't have that many people, really. You wouldn't have that many people giving their opinion. If everyone was sat in the ground, not everyone would be giving that opinion. Or if they are, it's more of a balance because you don't want to seem like just an idiot, do you? But then on social media, there's not really any like deterrence, is there? You can say what you want.
Yeah, that's exactly it, isn't it? From the outside looking in, I always feel like there's I'm not trying to be biased or anything here of Everton and Liverpool, because I just think there's a bit of a lack of belief in the club to like overcome certain targets. You know, like start of the season when obviously you boys want to get into the top four or go on a cup run and sort of end that trophy drought and, you know, get that monkey off the back sort of thing. Is that something that's become like really frustrating for you boys? I know like you're doing really well now, but like in like the last maybe 5 or 6 seasons or since Mashiri's come in and he's brought the money in, but you've not been able to like get over that hurdle. Has that been quite frustrating for you as fans?
Yeah, definitely. It's just like a lot of things went wrong early on with that Mashiri takeover. So like we had Koeman come in and we had Steve Walsh come in as our director of football, and they pissed about 200 million up the wall. And I still think like we're still recovering from that now. Like we've only just loaned out Yannick Bolasie, who we paid 25 million for. Like a lot of things go wrong in that, but it is a mentality which does need to change. Like I use this example a lot. Like we haven't beat Liverpool since 2010. Yeah, during that time we've played City sides and beat them, United, Arsenal, Chelsea, who at them times have had better sides than Liverpool, I'd say, at certain points. Yet we've beat them at home. Don't get me wrong, our away records at like the top 6 sort of clubs is shite. But it's just, I'd say against Liverpool, definitely it's a mentality thing. Also in cups as well, like certain games you go into it and you're expecting what you're expecting. Like I won't say like, I'd say it's getting better now because I'd say Ancelotti's a winner. Like he's won trophies and that, but like in the past, I'd say that's one thing we've really lacked is like winners in the club.
I agree. It's like you've got great servants to the club. You've got like obviously Leighton Baines is just retired, and then you've got like Jagielka, even to an extent like Tim Cahill, all them type players. James Coleman still playing now. None of them have won a trophy between them at Everton. None of them have won an Anfield for Everton. So it's like the great servants to the club, but there's not been any legends in my opinion. Like in the last whatever so many years, 20 odd years, but it's like it is. I think it's a mentality thing. Like if you even like now we've won at Tottenham away this season, we've got a good result at United, but like we've had draws and we've got a win against United in the last 10 years anyway. It's getting over that hurdle. I think of like we are good enough to go and like go to Anfield and have a go rather than let's just contain Liverpool or let's just contain Man City or whatever.
Yeah. The thing
I like this
with the mentality is that 2012, the semi-final, the FA Cup. I always go back to that in my head and think, well, because you were a much better team than us then. You were like higher in the league. You had a better starting 11, better squad. You were obviously a lot more confident. I think for that game, we must have had our third choice keeper in net. And I always think, I think the mentality was on show for that game because you were a better team. You should have won it. But because it was Liverpool, how do you think that you can overcome that? Like, what do you reckon? Do you reckon Ancelotti will make a massive difference to that?
I'd say so far he has already because, like, for example, Leeds the other day when we won there, I think we won once in our last 38 games there or something silly. And obviously we beat Tottenham away for the first time since 08. And like he picked up a few results which we wouldn't have picked up in the previous seasons. But I'd say the only way you can do it is if you do win at them places. Is if we do win at Anfield to get that monkey off our shoulders or off our back.
Yeah.
I always get that one confused. But like I think let's say like obviously we've got a tough game tomorrow against Tottenham. Like that could go either way really. But like you've got to go and win that cup to get that like mentality instilled in the players and that. Like you look at a club like Leicester, like they won the league the other year. They're gonna have like more. Like they probably have a better winners mentality than us.
It's a culture, isn't it, in the club? It's like I think it comes from youth level. Well, we always seem to do well under 23s and that type of thing. Like I think the other season, like a few seasons ago, we won the under 23 league with losing 2 games, and we lost both them games against Liverpool. Yeah. And it's just. I have a story about that 2012 semi-final actually. My dad, my uncle and his mate and my cousin are all season ticket holders at Liverpool. And we ended up getting 1 ticket in the Everton end for my dad. But my uncle's mate never went. So we had a ticket in the Liverpool end. So obviously like, there's only 11 or 12. So I thought, like, I'll be all, do you know what I mean? No one's going to have a go at the other kids. But so I thought, do I want to go? Because if we lose here, it's going to be horrible. It's going to make it worse to back them in Liverpool's end, isn't it? So I ended up going. And obviously, like, we scored first. Jelic scored, didn't he? And obviously, it was great and that. But then, like, obviously, you had the Suarez. You had the distant back pass, which I've never forgiven for. And then you had Andy Carroll's flick off his ponytail to late on, didn't you, to win? And I was just crying my eyes out.
Yeah.
At the end, I obviously had to stay in the Liverpool end. All the Everton fans are gone. You never walk alone's on, and it's just it's one of the worst experiences I've had, like, in a football ground, if not my life. Like,
Just touching back on Mashiri's obviously brought the money in. Something that I wasn't even going to say this, but it's kind of just coming to my head now, that he's obviously invested a lot of money into separate managers. And you look how well Moyes did with no money. How would you say, Mashiri would have done with Moyes together? Do you reckon usually probably won a cup? Or obviously because he was getting into he was pushing on Champions League spots when he had no money. So what could have done with money?
I'd say for me, like, just touching on that semi-final, it just sums Moyes up. I personally, for me, I don't think he ever would have won anything for us. Like, maybe early on, if he had money, we probably would have finished in the top 4 a few more times, showing like between like 2006 to like 2010. But with Mashiri's money, I like he's just not a winner, Moyes. Like, that game just summed him up completely.
he's like, about Moyes, you say, like, yeah, he was great with no money, but then he's went to Man United, and not like he hasn't achieved anything there with money, has he?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, he's went to, like, where else did he go? Real Sociedad. He's just one of them managers where I think he's good to, like, have a regimented team, like, organised.
You can take it to a level, can't he? Like a consistent level.
I think you hit that sort of glass ceiling with him in a way.
Yeah, sometimes like, with him having lesser funds, he finds a gem for a small amount of money, doesn't he?
Yeah, like, it looks like he's doing a good job at West Ham. But for me, like, I think the same problems are creeping there. Like, at Everton, we were always like a striker away from something. Like, you look at West Ham this season, Antonio's their only fit striker. If he gets injured, like, what are they going to do then? Moyes is just one big if, buts and maybes. He's just always like
the bridesmaid and not the bride, isn't he?
Yeah. But like, after that semi-final, he was never going to win anything. Do you know what I mean?
So obviously, you boys got Ancelotti at the helm now. So isn't it exciting time to be a Blue? And what are you sort of optimistic for the future?
I'd say for the short term this season, like, I'm hoping we do get Europe. Like, I reckon we'll probably, if I had to guess now, I reckon we'll probably finish between 60 to 65 points. And I reckon that'll probably get us anywhere between 8th to... I can't see it getting top 4, like 8th to 5th. So if we get Europa League for next season, that'd be great. But it's just seeing where he can kick on with, like, this group of players. Because obviously we've got Calvert-Lewin, and he's came on a lot. He's came on so much since he's joined. And you've got loads of young players there, like Ben Godfrey, Mason Holgate. And then and Richarlison as well. It's like, you want to see what he can do with these players in the short term. I just want to get Europe this season, hopefully. But it might be a blessing if we don't, because we don't have the biggest of squads. And in the summer, you can go invest again. But at the same time, in the summer, if you don't have Europe, you can't attack these better players. Yeah. And if we don't get Europe this season, personally, I reckon if we don't get Europe, I think Richarlison will probably leave. Although he's not, he's had quite a poor season so far with Richarlison. And I think other players, like, if we don't get it soon, like, you've got to get it to keep these players.
Do you think, though, like, Europa League actually really attracts players? Because, like, half the time you're playing the second string squad anyway, and you're saving the best players for the league. Obviously, if you win it, you get the Champions League, don't you? But, like, the chances of us winning the Europa League, I think, be slim. Because some of the teams that drop into that out the group stage of the Champions League are ridiculous. Like, I think Dortmund in it last year.
Yeah. To be fair, you might,
teams like that.
Yeah, to be fair, you might be right there, like, but I still think it'll have some sort of pull with a player. Like, I don't know. I think it'd still have a bit of a pull, like European football and that. But I know what you're saying. Like,
I think the pull of Ancelotti. Sorry, I think the pull of Ancelotti himself is more of a pull than having another manager, but being in Europe. Personally,
yeah, maybe so. That's not a bad shout, to be fair.
So obviously, he's expecting to have a new ground in the next couple of years as well, and eventually be leaving Goodison. Is that something you're looking forward to? Because if I kind of put myself in your shoes, I'd be, the only thing I'd be worried about is that you looked at likes of West Ham's and Arsenal that we were talking about before, and you see how they struggle with their atmosphere in these sort of new grounds and the new type of grounds they've got now. Are you looking forward to it, or is that a little bit of a worry in the back of your minds?
I'd say it is a bit of a worry. I think if we're moving, we've got to do it right in terms of that, like, like sections of the ground, like the Gladys Street, like the Bullens, the Paddock and Park End. I think you've got to sort of label the stands the same so people can still sit around the people who they've sat by for years. Because, like, for example, on the Gladys Street, there could be lads who only know each other from the match who've sat by each other for the last 10, 15 years. You know what I mean? So if that was to happen, it's got to be done right. I will be sad to leave, though, because it's all we've known, really. And, like, you know, all the pubs around there, like, like before the match when I was younger, like both me nan and granddad lived right by the grounds and that. So I don't know. I'll be sad to see it go. Like, but it depends when this move happens because of COVID and that. It sort of went right back on the back burner. Like, there hasn't really been much else announced about the ground lately, has there?
I don't think there's been a brick laid, in all honesty. Not that I'm like surveying the site every day, but you don't hear much about it. Apparently, was it supposed to be opening in 2021 or 2022 originally?
I think it was 2023. I think there's rumours ages ago of like the Commonwealth Games in 2022. And I think it's 2023 they're thinking of doing it. But I think they need to put some sort of planning permission forward. And that was meant to happen in the summer, I think. I might be wrong though. But I don't think that's happened because of COVID and stuff like that.
I just think I don't really want to leave Goodison. I don't like really 40,000 at Goodison. That's gonna be 50,000, 49, something like that. The new stadium.
I think it was 51. I think it was 51,878. So I was like, I think that's what it was.
I don't think that makes much of a difference, really. So because I don't think we'd sell out 50,000 every week. I don't know if you disagree with me there.
I think in the Premier League games we would, you know, maybe
look
not
at like Wednesday night you've got West Brom at home or Brighton. Like,
yeah, I don't know, but yeah,
it's freezing down on the docks as well. And it will be sad to leave Goodison. I wish they could build on Goodison, but I think like
because it's impossible, isn't it?
There's like houses so close to it. Like I don't think you could actually do it, but I think it adds to the club,
as well, isn't it?
Yeah, you have the Gladys Street School
next to it, so it's like you couldn't build on it. Whereas with this new one, maybe you could.
How will that sort of like change your boys' match day experience in terms of like pubs you'd go to? Because I kind of look at it and think they're gonna have to build obviously a lot of pubs in and around there. I mean, like I think it's a great thing, but like even as a Liverpool fan, I think it's great for the city. You know, the regeneration it's going to do and jobs it's going to bring in. I think it's great, but how will that change like your whole experience, or will it not really change it much?
I think it will quite a bit because I think it'll be the train station we'll get off at will be Sandhills, won't it, Luke? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I think it will be they're going to build a new one, but right now it'll be Sandhills, yeah.
Yeah, I think like it is quite far. Like it's too far away from all the pubs which you would go to before the game by Goodison, so it will change it completely. Like
the things about them pubs around Goodison and even the local businesses are like on a match day, that's probably their main revenue, and like the area as it is, like you know what I mean. It's not the richest of like areas either, so I think the football club sort of like is a big thing for the city and like that smaller community around the grounds and like in general. I think also you've got them pubs people have been. You've got stories of like how I remember Howard Kendall and Peter Reid come out to the Wimslow pub just outside the ground once, and like it was like a surreal experience. Like looking at them, thinking they've just come out that old pub. Yeah. But I think a lot of the pubs have a lot of history in them. If you look on the walls, like people have been in them pubs after we've won the league and won FA Cups, and not recently, but like back in the day and stuff. But I think if you're building new bars from it, like a new thing, there's no history there. It's gonna be all modern and like it's gonna be like going on a night out and going to footy rather than we're going to footy, and that's part of the routine.
Yeah, it's a big change, isn't it? That's always something I was really happy that Liverpool didn't leave Anfield, and yeah, they built on it. And like you say, they probably couldn't have done that at Goodison, but you know, it is a big change for the whole football club, the way you experience the going to the matches, and even the away fans coming to you. And you know, something people always take the piss out of Liverpool, saying that, you know, come to Anfield's a bit of a myth and the atmosphere and everything like that, and maybe a 12:30 Burnley on a Sunday kickoff, maybe it is, but you know, I always take pride out of the games where, you know, the night games when the atmosphere is amazing and the away fans do come and they've got a good experience of coming to Anfield because they want to come to Anfield, and people obviously want to come to Goodison. And that's something that as a home fan you probably take a lot of pride of as well, isn't it?
Definitely.
I think the whole like tightness of the pitch at Goodison is like it's not like obviously you have that cliche of a 12-man type thing, but some games it is like, especially against the bigger teams at home, these top 6 teams, like it is like it's tight. It probably is intimidating for the away sides and stuff. But I think with modern stadiums, you can build them as like you can build them as similar as you want. But like for Spurs Stadium, like it is like it's not far from the pitch and that, it doesn't look it. But it's still, I don't think Spurs is like, it's not as intimidating as what it was going to like the original White Hart Lane or West Ham, like the bowling ground, or Goodison, for example. It's a proper purpose-built football ground, and I think like that's what we're losing, isn't it?
Yeah, that plays into your hands, you know how hostile it is, doesn't it? So obviously you've got your own podcast, the 10th Pint podcast, and I'm not just saying this because you boys obviously not now, but you know it is something I do listen to quite religiously because you know what I enjoy about it is you obviously get stories of different people in the city, and you know you get musicians, UFC fighters, boxers, and you tell those stories just like they are. You know the people you don't hold up on. You know you're quite blunt with them and to try and get that story out of them, and I think that's something that I really enjoy listening to. But what I was interested in getting your thoughts on was, you know, what made you boys set that up and inspired you to do it?
It was sort of lockdown, weren't it? It was sort of like, I was sort of bored in my face, weren't it, Luke? And then I'd say, well, once we started, like, I think you've probably found this yourself, you start really getting into it. Like, start becoming quite passionate about it and that. And then me and Luke are both, like, really into, like, music, aren't we? Like, the local bands especially. And so, I think, well, funny enough, the first band we had on were from outside of Liverpool, weren't they? They were from Lee, which is near Wigan. Yeah, and then once we had them on, I think we were just like, yeah, we can get bands on this. We can really do something with it. And then I'd say with it, like going to the studio, that was down to you, really, weren't it? So in the studio, and I'd say that like took us. I'd say like going to the studio sort of took us to like, I'm not saying we're massive or nothing, but it took us to like a new sort of level of doing it in terms of like audio quality and stuff like that. Because we were like on Zoom, it's all right, but the old app we used to use, what was it called, Luke?
We used to use Anchor, like, but it used to like we had an interview with like you might know him, Andrew Cushion. He's doing well now for himself, a lad from Newcastle. And at the time, like it was quite a big interview for us because like he'd worked with Noel Gallagher and stuff. So obviously like we're like banging to Oasis and like Noel and Liam and stuff. So we interviewed him, and then we listened back to it after it. And he was answering questions before we'd actually asked the question because it was like out of sync because of the internet. So then we thought, like, if we're going to get anywhere with this, we sort of, because we didn't know how the Zoom and that worked, like, at that point. So then we went to the studio with, like, obviously, Jazz Dickens. And we didn't really think it was going to be like a permanent thing going to the studio. We just thought we'd try it, didn't we? But the more and more we've done it, I think, like, it's not about views or money or anything. It's about like saying like, oh, I've spoke to that person. Like when we go to a gig or like go to a fight or something like that, it's like, oh, I've spoke to him. Do you know what I mean? It makes it more like personal. And like we always say, like support your local and that type of thing. I think a lot of people say it, but don't actually ever follow through with it. But like we try and get the stories from like people like us, lads like us, or like girls like from around where we're from or whatever.
Yeah, I'd say I just want to get to the point where we can really help like local like musicians and stuff like that, like really help promote their stuff and then benefit from us helping them. So I think, do you know what I mean? I want to get to the point where like we can share someone's song and that really helps them out and stuff like that. Because like in Liverpool at the minute, like the music scene there, it's like it's really good. And like so like obviously me and Luke don't play a guitar, but we still want to be part of it, don't we? So like
yeah, we can't sing, we can't play an instrument, so that's our part.
Yeah, but like or like even like help like a boxer or like a UFC or like MMA fighter like sort of like get recognition for like what they're doing. Whereas like I don't really think like there was never really like I might be wrong, but there weren't really much out there for like the local bands as such. Like obviously they're like stuff like This Feeling's like great for local band, like great for bands and that like helping them up. But like in terms of, like very locally, like there weren't really like there was no one doing a podcast or like really pushing for it. Whereas I think we've tried our best, haven't we, to like sort of bring it to people's attention about how good it is.
I think a lot of the podcasts, like I'm not like discrediting these podcasts, but I listen to James English, watch him religiously. Like, but a lot of the big podcasts at this moment of time is like true crime. I think it gets a bit much sometimes. And like, obviously, like this podcast is football, and like listening to stuff about sport and music's a bit more light-hearted, isn't it? Rather than listening to like stories about crime constantly. Like it has its time and its place, but like, you know what I mean? You don't want to be listening to a crime podcast about like people dying and all that. If you've had a bad day, you might want to listen to like. I listen to a podcast called The Fight Disciples, like a boxing one, but that's like part of my sort of routine on a Monday, and so you feel like you know them a bit.
Something you're obviously saying there about like how you've got into doing the podcast because of like your love for music and stuff. How much, when you look at it, obviously not being able to go to the matches now, but when we were able to go, does music play into the match day culture? Because I think music and footy kind of go hand in hand, really, don't they? When you just don't realise it.
Yeah, definitely. Like I've noticed it a lot more since we've started doing it. Do you know, like football clubs still putting up like the match day playlists, so like fans can go and listen to that. I'd say like it is good because like you look at like every musician, like big ones, do you always see like what football club they support, don't you? Like Oasis, like like Nolan Liam supports Man City. Like obviously, like you've got Ian Brown, like he's a massive United fan, and you see like Stone Roses things on the ground. Like yeah, it's just it is a big part. Like
it's like Jamie Webster as well, isn't it?
Yeah, like he smashed it on you. Like obviously, like before, like we knew of him, didn't we? Because of like Liverpool, like he's done Liverpool stuff and that, and obviously like that's not going to interest us. But like he's like properly smashed it now, with his own stuff and all that. Like for me, his album, We Get By last year was probably like the best album of the year. When it looked like me and you love it, don't we?
We love it, but like it's not just the music. Like yeah, you can sing about these songs and that, but like as a person, when you've met him and you look at him on social media, he backs them songs up. Like he's singing about working class life and stuff, but like he hasn't lost himself because he's had success. Like he's still the same person that he was before. Like you can tell he cares about his actual mates and the people around him, not just people that have like sort of jumped on him, the bandwagon.
Any listeners haven't got on that already, go over to the 10th Pint podcast, and obviously you boys on the podcast, but he's on YouTube as well, aren't you? So any listeners that are on listening now, get over to you boys and follow you on the socials as well, because it is a belter, to be fair.
Yeah, nice one.
So finally, the podcast is centered around going the match. So of every podcast we're doing, I want to end by asking, what are your top 3 favourite matches you've been to or seen?
Well, that's a tough one, that,
You can go first.
Yeah, you can do Istanbul.
Yeah, go on.
2005 if you want.
Athens 2007. No, this might be a weird one, but one of my favourite ones was 3-3 at home against United.
You
know the scorers, obviously, won't you be from the year? If you want to fill us in.
Pienaar, Arteta and Kale, 2010 that was.
Yeah, I think we were 3-1 down, we were all 5 minutes to go.
Yeah.
United were like winning the league around that time, and like with Fergie and that, so that was quite a big one.
The best, probably my top 3 have been to, off the top of my head, would be we beat Arsenal 3-0 in 13-14, and at that current stage, that took us to 4th place in the league. And then obviously we never got it, but at the time it felt like a big deal winning that game. Another one I can think of was Middlesbrough in the Cup in 2009 when we eventually got to the final. That's the quarterfinals, and that was like the first that was a big deal at the time because that was our first time getting back to Wembley since the first time in 14 years. That was at the time, so I can remember that one well. I'd say that was probably up there. And in terms of recently, I'd probably say Watford away when we won 3-2, just because we were there with my mates. Do you know what I mean? That one stands out to me. But yeah, they're the top 3 I've been to. But in terms of watched on the telly and that, the one which always stands out to me is one of the best which I've watched was do you remember Chelsea threw 2-2 with Barcelona?
Yeah.
Where to get to the final. I can remember that. I can remember proper watching that match, or the City one when Aguero scored. I'd say that one's probably the best match I've watched on the telly. Do you know what I mean?
I'd say Watford's probably number one for me as well. I forgot about Middlesbrough, but I don't want to copy it again. Watford, City at home. We beat them 4-0 in Guardiola's first season. And then jib that United one. Forget that 3-3. Actually, we can't have a shell of it a draw, can we? Third.
FA Cup quarters against Chelsea will be one for you, won't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Chelsea 2-0. That's probably number one. We'll give that number one. Watford 2, and City at home number 3. No wins against Liverpool, so we wouldn't be in there.
The Belter way to finish the podcast talking about not getting beat by the Reds. So just before you go, boys, just a massive thank you for giving me time and coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks very much for having us.
Yeah, thanks very much. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that, yeah.
If you enjoyed that episode and want to keep notified for future episodes, please make sure you subscribe, follow and share, and of course, leave us a 5-star rating. You can now follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, all at Go in the Match, to keep updated for future episodes and updates on the podcast.